Hey guys, welcome back to Content is Profit. Last week, we said that trust is clarity plus certainty. And the levers are specificity, proximity, and speed. I think we named it a little bit different, but there's something that's still underneath. And today we're bringing you part 2 of that episode. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's actually how to make a little bit more sales, how to sell more of what you do, how to serve more people, with the things that you do and your content, right? But today we're going to be talking about 3 beliefs your audience needs to hold before they ever buy from you. This is coming from Fonzie's brainstorming. We got him back here in the studio. What's happening? Welcome back, Fonzie.
Thank you. It's always fun to be here at the studio.
Yes. So anyways, like all these, we have to take care of all these 3 things, and it has to be present throughout our marketing messaging, content, sales letters, emails. So hopefully this is a very impactful episode for you and for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good reviews of marketing content.
Yes. So quick callback for last episode. Officially it's 644. But again, trust is your clarity. My alarm is going through.
But anyways, who's counting?
Who's counting? I know, it's like one of I actually met Pablo from our first project JWB yesterday. I have to tell about that experience.
Yeah.
And they're on episode 500 since we started that project, which is crazy. We're not involved anymore, but we did start with them for like the first year or so.
That was one of our first podcasts that we helped produce and record.
It's 500 episodes, and they're building this incredible YouTube studio, which, by the way, if you go to the Beast Bros YouTube channel, the video is going to be there soon. But he was like, dude, this podcast has been the most consistent thing that I've done in my life. And I'm like, us too. Like, besides, saying I love you to my wife and my kids,
That's right. Systems.
But that's crazy. But anyways, going back to the recap, right? Trust equals clarity and certainty, right? 3 levers that we talked about last episodes.
Yeah. Clarity of the problem and certainty of the result.
That's right. And then, with the 3 levers that we're pulling, it's like, how specific are we? How the proximity between us, the idea, the customer, and the speed of execution too.
We call that speed of engagement, but on the other episode.
Absolutely. So here's the question, Fonzie, right? Why do people who clearly trust you still not buy from you?
Great question.
So here's a good analogy, right? That we were talking earlier. It's like, because that trust gets them through the door, but it doesn't get them through. There's another thing that gets them through that door, right? And we're talking about...
we're going to be talking about some of those beliefs. The three beliefs, right? And you might have heard some of these ideas.
So trust gets you to the door, and then belief pushes you through the door. so there's 3 beliefs, right?
3 beliefs that we're going to be talking about. And again, when you build trust, I think you're knocking down one of those beliefs, which we'll be talking about right now. But this might be a concept that some people might have heard. So it might not be new to you. It might be a good reminder for you so you can look at your content.
Yeah.
Last episode, we talked about doing a little bit of a self-assessment, look at the stuff that you're creating, and then run it through the things that we covered and ask yourself, okay, what can I change? What can I improve in here? And it's the same for what we're going to be doing today. You're going to be looking at what you're creating, your message, and you're going to be asking yourself, am I instilling these beliefs in people? Am I helping them? Like, for example, Russell Brunson, he calls them the dominoes, right? Am I helping them knock out the dominoes?
Yeah.
Or first mentor, right? This was one of the concepts that stuck the most, actually, for me. And I've been able to use this concept to help a lot of people. And when we're in our talks and everything is really, really helpful. So if you put this inside of your content, there is no way that people are not going to buy from you, right? Again, you're giving them trust by giving them clarity of the problem and certainty of the solution. And that knocks down the first belief, which we're going to be talking about, which is
crazy. Before you
don't reveal it yet.
Hold on. It's crazy. Like, we've actually used this also to launch our podcast. We were super overwhelmed. It's like, what are the things that we do first to launch the first episodes? And we use this framework to actually launch it. And we've helped people in the studio too. And every time we share it, they're like mind blown. We're like, oh man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a business, you're selling something, right? If you're doing a podcast like that.
And these beliefs are actually how people make decisions for anything. Like, it's very, very interesting if you start looking from above how you make decisions on how you buy anything from, eggs to ice cream
the
or
subconscious is always watching.
Whatever it is, you're going to realize that you actually hit on these steps before making the purchase, right? So belief one.
Reveal it.
Belief one is the vehicle.
Vehicle.
Which is, do people believe this thing that you're selling is actually going to help them?
Yeah.
So that's why I said that building trust, right? Certainty and clarity, certainty of the problem and clarity of the solution. That's, if they believe you, if they trust that, they're going to say, okay, this vehicle works, right? They're going to say, for example, if we're selling podcast production, for example, they're going to be, okay, I believe that podcast can help me grow my business and build a loyal, fan base, if you want to call it that, but a loyal base of listeners that can move into my sales funnels and then, go through my sales process. I believe it. I've
relationships
seen it.
That are good for my business. Like
exactly.
Does if we talk about your offer, like does your offer work? Does your method work? Does your category work?
Yep.
Is the thing real, right?
If you're in the fitness space, for example, if you're in the fitness space, they're gonna be okay. Can this help me lose weight, or is this gonna help me get shredded? And it's like, okay, I do believe it. I see the guy. I've seen results. He talks about these problems. I believe the vehicle works, and that is the first thing you need in order to buy it. Because if they don't believe the vehicle is going to help them, like the other two beliefs are irrelevant. They don't really care.
I remember when I was working at Orange Theory, we got a ton of new people that were like, okay, well, how? I don't believe I need to lose, 30 pounds. Like, does it actually work? I've been going to X gym for this many, months and nothing's happening. And we would literally show them, like, we would grab a member that was like in the middle of the class or ending a class, would be like, hey, tell them about your experience. Like, did it work? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, sweet. Okay, then I'll go obviously more in detail, but we'll show. So I think this is cool. Like, how do you actually identify it, right? Like, how does it look when it's missing? So you're going to see a lot of skepticism in the comments. You see it 24/7 everywhere. Like, oh, another guru, like another thing, right? This is just another course. This is another, fitness course. This is another podcasting thing. Does content marketing actually work, or is it just a guru talking, right? Like, especially today, or AI bluff, or like whatever, right?
Yeah, we talked about it last episode too, which is truly understanding the problem, right? So nail down your messaging. And we learned this actually from our first mentor too in the space, which is if that one that is the best at describing the problem, people will assume they have the solution, right? So if you can describe the problem that your viewer, right, your prospect has better than they do, they will pretty much automatically assume that you have the solution. So they will pretty much believe, oh, okay, this vehicle works. Like, this person has so much clarity on the problem that they're solving that they can express it with so much clarity that they are able to help me achieve it. So again, obviously testimonials, all these type of things.
Yeah. So which is, how do we actually fix this, right? Like proof. Number one, right? A specific proof, even better. We're like, hey, we work with this specific client that is just like you. These are the specific results that we're getting for them. Real numbers, right? Like befores and afters. I remember the guy that we used it as an example, the fit to fat to fit. Right? Like the guy's like showing pictures like, hey, here I was fit. I became this massive dude to prove to you that my vehicle, the thing that I'm selling, actually worked. And he went through it and he did it again, right? Yeah. Show and tell is massive. Like, show that your thing actually works, not just on you, like if you're practicing, but like with a real audience, with the customers, like show their results. And then this is basically where your case studies live, right? Yeah. I remember like maybe a couple months ago we're pitching this big fintech company, and the one thing that they asked us in our proposal was like case studies, and it was like case studies after case study after case study applicable to them, right? Yeah. Like similar to them.
Yeah. What if you might be, maybe you haven't documented as many case studies or documented testimonials, right? Or maybe you're starting and you don't have as many results. How do you do it then? Well, the best way to do that is by offering them a quick win. Like, what is something that you can do in your or a piece of content that you can create that offers them an immediate win? Yeah. So they can say, oh, this person can solve a problem for me. One of the biggest problems I see with people creating content is that the problems that they try to solve in their content, they're way too big. So on paper, the person might think, oh, okay, yeah, sure, this might work. I could see this 90-day plan working. But at the end of the day, it's a 90-day plan and it's going to take a lot of effort.
Yeah.
They already scroll to the next thing to try it out. But if you give them, and we talked about this, right, the specificity of the problem last time, if you give them a very narrow, small problem to solve and they go ahead and they do it in the next 5 minutes and they're like, wow, this actually, let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you're teaching them how to not create an AI slop and actually use AI as a tool to enhance your content, not to create it for you, but to help you create better content. And they've struggled because all the output that they get is just terrible, slop, sounds generic like everything else. So you tell them, hey, look, this is exactly what you're going to do so you can create your next piece of content with the perfect hook, the perfect body. Is going to be AI enhanced. And I'm going to give you the exact prompt that you need. You're going to copy and paste this on Claude or ChatGPT, and then you're going to fill in these spaces with these things specific to you, and you're going to hit enter. Whatever comes out, that's the thing that you're going to record. That's a very easy solution, right? You're giving them the step-by-step. They're going to grab it. It's going to take 2 seconds for them. Well, maybe not 2 seconds, 5 minutes to do it. They go ChatGPT, Claude, they paste the prompt. They actually get something, they read it, and if it's actually good and solve their problem, they're going to be like, wow. Immediate trust, right?
Yeah.
The vehicle, I said that in Spanish, but the vehicle actually works, right? So if you have now the next logical problem, they're gonna be like, okay, he can help me with my bigger problem.
I mean, a good example, if by the time of this recording, you might already missed it. I don't know, but if you go to businesscreator.club, we've done the context documents for your AI and your business document and your, board of directors prompts that we get. Those are solutions to very specific problems that our community were having. So go in there. If you don't see it in the main page, you can just log into the community, to Business Creator Club. It's going to be in the vault. We've been releasing these, but that's a good example. Like, we had a very specific question and we did a couple episodes on how to solve that very specific question. And we got interested from people that were outside of us because those are the problems that they're experiencing. So that vehicle helped them solve it. And that's the proof basically of, what we need. We actually jump on afterwards with a couple of them and they've been using it, which is crazy. They went through the prompt, they answered the questions. They're like, oh man, my output is not generic anymore. It applies to my story, to my things, to like my own frameworks, which is really cool. So that's a good example of like how we applied it lately in the latest episodes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lead to belief number 2 with this example. I said anything that you buy kind of like goes through this process. So imagine you're at the grocery store and you want to buy milk, right? You go to the milk aisle, right? Obviously at the end, so you get to see all the tasty snacks in there and, they tease you to try to buy them. I want ice cream so bad. But you get to the milk and you're going to buy it, right? And you already made the decision that milk works for me and that is the vehicle, right? But now you get confronted with, do I get grass-fed organic or, do I get the great value type of brand? And some of you probably, if you guys are super crunchy listening to this, might be like, whatever, they're the same thing. I don't know, all that stuff, right? But you might be confronted with that decision. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm super healthy. I buy everything organic. This is the vehicle. That message is resonating for you, but you're making that decision. Now, the second belief is the internal belief is, can I use this thing? Now imagine the milk, rather than being in a regular bottle or carton, like it's in this weird contraption that you have no idea how to open it and pour it, right? It's the organic one, the one that you want, the vehicle, but now it's in this freaking weird contraption and you start asking yourself, how do I open this? How do I use this thing? And that might deter you from buying that milk. And it's the same with the program, right? People are going to be like, all right, I believe on the lost weight journey. I believe that your gym can help me do this. I believe that your agency can help me, turn content into profit.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be asking themselves, can I do it? Can I be consistent? Can I jump in front of the camera and deliver the message?
We have the perfect example that we're just talking to Jim right here in the lobby, where we had this lady come in one day and, we sat, she brought 52 outlines of episodes ready to rock and roll. Her past is amazing. Her, her process and her things, like
she believed the vehicle.
She believed in the vehicle, right? She believed her vehicle, like she was actually, but she believed that the podcast was the thing.
Yeah, the podcast was the vehicle.
And then when the time came that we turned the cameras on, her internal belief completely completely failed. She's like, I cannot do this. And we had to sit down with her for about an hour and we ended up recording something different, but she couldn't get past the fact that the imposter syndrome and internal reasons of why she could not do it. Right. Yeah. So that was a very clear example of like, oh, wow, now we need to work on helping these people solve those internal beliefs. Like, how do we present the content? How do we present our message? How do we make it as easy as possible for them to be like, cool. So like Fonzie said, well, that organic, piece of milk instead of that company, instead of putting in that crazy contraption, how can we make it as easy as possible for them to pick it? Be like, oh yeah, I can open that. I can use it. I can drink it, right? So in your own process, not only the sales, but the content side, like how do we actually show this, right? So what does it look like when it's missing, right?
Yeah. And I want to say a piece of content doesn't have to just address one belief. Like you can address all of them in a single piece of content, right? In a single episode.
Yeah.
So for example, if we go back to testimonials, they show that the vehicle works, but if it's a testimonial relevant to the person that is reading it or listening or watching it, right? If it's a person that was in the same situation that they were, then it's going to help them shift that internal belief because they're like, wow, this person, had the same, amount of debt that I had. And look, now they cleared their debt and they're making so much money online. I'm like, that could be me, right? And that can help them shift that internal belief.
If you watch like all infomercials, you see that, right? Like they're selling you the vehicle first, so they do a show and tell, and they show like how the tape works, right? And they put it like in front of like the water, and the tape like blocks the entire water.
And that's actually doing the both vehicle and internal, because you're seeing how the product works, and you're like, okay, the product actually works, but then they're showing you how easy it is to use it.
And then they show like a testimonial. It's like, oh man, I was having this issue in my house with this thing, and then I bought the tape, and it was so easy to use, and I put it in there, and like, okay, well, if that person could do it, I can do it, right? Like, so is a lot of they can, obviously they work together, but they don't have to be separate, right? So I think like identify like why it's missing. Like, so situations like, I love what you do. This is so exciting, but I'm not sure if I have what it takes, right? Like, if you can ask questions in your process or in your content that can help people put that into words, you can help them, move past that. Whenever you had a call and then they're ghosting you, that could be an indicator where it's like, okay, why they're not answering me? Maybe it's not us, it's them, but like we need to find that out and solve it ahead of time.
For example, we're going to do a narrow piece of content that solves a very small problem for them, right? Immediately. They might be like, well, I have problems, confidence on camera. And the narrow problem that you solve is a very quick tip for them to record something that is like 10 seconds and actually publish it. They will do it. And then immediately they can be, their confidence is going to change. They're going to be like, I can actually record and publish something, right? So like now, can we bring this into the bigger scale of things?
I have an example here because, when we go into how do we fix this part? When you show people you've helped who started like at their same, like that will be the similar example that we just shared. But we had a part of our process early on where we would show the entire process, right? So let's say you hire Beast Bros for your fractional team, right? In those calls, we will show a full demo where, hey, you just have to give us the thing. And then we show the internal machine, like at least that was my process back then. And I was showing them thinking like it will establish the trust with them. And then the content passes through all these phases that, we do. And then you get this final output here. And we weren't closing as many people as we were expecting after the demos, even though the possibility was there. But they were getting so overwhelmed by me showing them the process, because even though I was telling them, hey, we'll do that, I'm showing them, and in their head, it's like, I think this is too much for me, right? Like, I don't know if I could handle like keeping track of all these things. And I was trying to make a point of like, no, we take care of this. And when we switch, that's where it's like, okay, look, all you got to do is record the content. You're already doing that. We take care of like the messy middle. Like that's what we do. And I would not describe the messy middle. And all you get is this. And then your team has to post it, which you guys are already doing it. They were like, oh my gosh, of course. We can do that, right? We're already recording it. I already do it. And we're already posting it. The team is already doing it. So the messy middle, which is my problem, you guys take care of that. Easy. Perfect. Let's move on to the next stage. So like that for me was like eye-opening when we were showing the process. And we're like, I don't need to show this anymore. Like, I don't need to impress anybody. I'm very proud of our process, but I don't need to show it to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So focus on that. How do you tackle that internal belief of people? Can I do it? Is this, actually for me and all that stuff? Which leads to belief number 3, the last one.
The last one.
Which is you go to the aisle, you check on the milk, you pick organic, then you realize that it's in an easy to open container. You're like, I can do this. You grab it, and then you go to the checkout and you scan it, and the price is 200% more than regular milk. And you start asking yourself, should I pay for this? Do I have the funds to pay for this milk, right? Can I afford this thing? And that is belief number 3, which is the external piece, right? Like the external parts, which is like, do I have the resources for this thing, right? Do I have the money? Do I have the time to do it, right? So those are things that you can tackle as well. A lot of people tackle those in, with your content. You can do a hook like, hey, look, this is how you do X, Y, and C in the next 5 minutes. They're like, oh, wow, that doesn't take a lot of time. Anybody can do it. Tackle an internal belief. In 5 minutes, tackle an external belief, right? Literally, right there on the hook. You can do all 3, vehicle, internal, external. But obviously, when you get to the bigger conversation of funnels and you're trying to sell a high ticket program, for example, this is probably going to look like, okay, let me work together with the other person to see how we can get them to affording this. Do they believe that much in the vehicle? And do they believe that they can do it? That they will find a way for the external part of the belief, right? Yeah. A lot of people talk about financing and all these things, right? And like,
my partner, my spouse, I got to think about it.
Exactly.
It might not be the right moment right now. Like I need to wait till things settle down a little bit. This shows up a lot in sales calls, right?
And it will be different for everybody depending on their business that they have and the sales process that you have, right? Some people will have sales calls. They will be addressing a lot of those in there. But ideally, you're also addressing that stuff in your content. How can you address that in your content? Again, we go back to testimonials. Hey, this person, that is very similar to you, they did 5x their investment, right? They're doing this amount monthly. Immediately you're thinking, oh, okay, well, if I'm paying, $5,000 for this program, but I get to make, 20, 50 grand a month after this, I'm like, cool. Like, I'm going to do it. It's a good investment, right? Yeah. So you're knocking that external belief, right? If you think, all right, but how long is it going to take me? Is it going to take me like 3 years to get to that point? But you're like, no, this person actually did it in the next 6 months, like they applied themselves, they follow every single instruction and they did it in the next 6 months. Oh, cool. Wow. Interesting. And then you're tackling those things before you have to jump on a call. But there's other vehicles, right? You got webinars, you got DM conversations. Yeah. And again, the vehicle in which you're making that sale is not the important part in this conversation. Is actually the fact that when you look at your message and you're self-assessing the content that you're creating, are you touching on all these 3 beliefs, right? Vehicle. Do they believe this thing is going to help them? Internal. Do they believe they can help themselves and actually do the thing? And external. Do they have the resources to make this work? Time, money. Right. So if you look at it in that way, you can start looking at your content and ask yourself, am I touching on these beliefs in my content? If yes, your content is going to be way more effective. If you're not, and it's going to help you build that trust that we talked on part 1.
Yeah. A very common one that we get here in the studio is like, when they're trying to start a podcast, either it's related to a business or pure entertainment, right? And normally when it's like pure entertainment, the monetization strategy changes a little bit. But they're like, man, like they have to have a budget. Like it costs something to produce here in the studio. So one of the things, okay, how do I actually finance the production of this? One of the things that we tell people and that we put out there is like, hey, look, you can find actually partners to sponsor your show even before it's out, that you can finance the whole production. People are like, oh, I didn't know that, right? And that is part of like addressing that external concern that they have because they can't or cannot afford the podcast. And we share a wonderful resource from one of our podcast guests. I'm blanking on the book right now. Justin's
Sponsor Magnet.
Sponsor Magnet. Yes, go get it, please, on Amazon. It's so good. And he basically lays out all the process in there. That's what they do. And we refer to them. And we've had shows that have, found sponsors and then come back and be like, hey, let's launch it, right? Before the show is even live. So it helps us because it helps, us produce their stuff, and it helps them because they're producing it with like no money out of their pocket, which is great. So in your business, what are those things that come up every single time, maybe in your sales conversations or the conversations that you have with your members, with your customers? Address those ahead of time on emails, on the content that you're putting out, or even in the sales conversation that you're having.
Yeah.
Cool. All three. Check.
That's right.
So
I would love to hear from you listening to this. If you made it to this point, let us know. Reach out on Instagram. Mine personally at Fonzie Creates. My brother's at Luis.creates.
Are you going to answer?
Yeah, of course. Of course I'm going to answer. I never answer him. He sent me too many memes.
Too many memes.
I would love to hear from you. If you do a self-assessment, what are the things that maybe you might be lacking or that you might need a little bit more clarity on when creating your content, right? Again, look at it. Are you tackling the vehicle, internal and external beliefs in your content? You can do all three in a single piece of content. You can do them individually, right? You can do them across your funnel while you're building that trust with people. Are you, giving them certainty and clarity? That is very, very important. So reach out to us. We'd love to hear, again, how that self-assessment looked like for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Guys, if you want to be a part of the community, Business Creator Club, you'll see the active lead magnet that we have or the solution that we have based on the things in the community. You're going to see it right there in the homepage. We have right now, as the time of the recording, your context document and your board of advisors for your own company, your prompts that you can put on your ChatGPT and your Claude, completely free. It's a process. It takes you about an hour to do it, but when you do it, it's amazing results. So go get them for free. They're there, but if you don't find them there, they're in the vault. So come join us every Friday. We also have office hours. So come in, ask any questions. Very cool solutions that we have there. Actually, we had this lady that she is in the law industry practicing as a lawyer, and she is over that, and she decided that she was going to create a solution for some problems that she had in the law. We brainstormed in that office hours, and she was able to sell a $5,000 package the next week, which was crazy. I was like, very proud of you. So cool. So come get the fire ignited and help us with help us spread the word. Come on.
That's right.
Let's go.
Help people. help people
us,
get their milk.
Help us help you.
Help people get their milk.
Get their organic milk.
That's right. That's right.
Sweet. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning to the Content is Profit podcast, and we'll see you on the next show.
See ya.